80,000 people in the stadium, hundreds of millions watching at home, an entire nation's dream hanging on one kick, 12 yards, one goalkeeper, one ball, on the spot. The player takes a breath. And in that single moment, every fear that has ever existed is right there. This is the penalty shootout. And what happens in those 10 seconds before the kick contains one of the most powerful lessons about pressure you will ever learn. You don't have to play football to understand pressure. You feel it before a job interview, before a difficult conversation, before an exam, before you hit send on something that matters. Pressure is universal. But what footballers at the highest level have figured out, and what science is now confirming, is that pressure isn't something that happens to you. It's something you can learn to use. Let me show you how. Before the case studies, let's understand what's actually happening inside the body under pressure. When a person faces a high-stakes moment, the brain releases cortisol and adrenaline. Heart rate spikes, hands shake, breathing gets shallow, vision narrows. This is the threat response, and for thousands of years it kept humans alive when facing real danger. The problem? The brain cannot tell the difference between a penalty kick and a lion attack. Both trigger the same chemicals. Here's the critical insight. Research from Harvard psychologist Alison Wood Brooks shows that the difference between people who perform under pressure and those who don't is not the absence of those physical feelings, it's how they interpret them. People who choke think, "I'm nervous, I'm going to fail." People who perform think, "I'm excited, I'm ready." Same chemicals, completely different outcome. Case Study 1. World Cup Final 1994, USA. Italy versus Brazil. The score is 0-0 after extra time. It goes to penalties. Roberto Baggio, the best player in the world that year, the man who had almost single-handedly carried Italy to the final, steps up for the decisive kick. He runs up, he strikes the ball, and it flies over the crossbar. Italy loses the World Cup. Baggio collapses, head down, hands on knees. And in that image, one of the most famous in football history, we see something deeply human. Even the best in the world can break under pressure. But here's what people forget. Baggio himself said years later, "That penalty will always be with me, but I would still take it again." That's not defeat talking, that's courage. The lesson: pressure breaks everyone eventually. What defines a person is not whether they break, it's whether they step up again. Now the opposite story. Euro 1976 final, Czechoslovakia versus West Germany. Antonin Panenka steps up for the decisive penalty. The entire tournament is on this one kick. And what does he do? He chips the ball, softly, down the middle. The goalkeeper dives right. The ball floats in. Czechoslovakia wins. Here's what's extraordinary about that moment. Panenka had been practicing that chip for 2 years in training, 2 years of repetition, so that when the moment came, the pressure moment, the one that mattered most, his body didn't respond with panic. It responded with habit. The lesson: the best way to perform under pressure is to have done it so many times before that calm becomes automatic. You don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your preparation. And then there's Gareth Southgate. In 1996, as a player, he missed the decisive penalty that knocked England out of the Euros. The image of him standing alone, hands on face, haunted him for years. Fast forward 25 years, Southgate is now the England manager. Euro 2020, England in the final, and Southgate has to decide which players take the penalties. He makes his choices. England loses. And once again, Southgate is at the centre of the storm. But watch how he handled it. With dignity, with calm, with accountability. No excuses, no deflection, complete ownership. Here's the thing. Southgate turned his deepest pressure wound into his greatest qualification. His experience of breaking under pressure as a player made him the most empathetic, most psychologically equipped manager England has had in a generation. Failures under pressure are not the end of the story. They are the material the next chapter is built with. So based on what football, psychology, and these stories teach us, here are 3 tools you can use right now. Tool 1. Reframe nervousness as excitement. When you feel pressure, don't say, "I'm so nervous." Say, "I'm excited." Out loud if you can. Harvard research proves this simple switch improves performance measurably. Your body chemistry doesn't change, but your interpretation does. Tool 2. Build a pre-performance routine. Panenka had 2 years of repetition. Ronaldo has his famous pre-free kick routine. You need one too. A consistent sequence, breathing, posture, a phrase you tell yourself that signals to your brain, "This is familiar. I've been here before. I can do this." Tool 3. Zoom out on the timeline. In the moment of pressure, everything feels permanent. Roberto Baggio's miss felt like the end. Southgate's miss felt like the end. Neither was. Almost nothing is. Ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? If yes, give it everything. If no, release the grip. Most pressure loses half its power the moment you zoom out. Here's what football has taught us about pressure. The goal is not to eliminate it. The goal is to become someone who uses it. Baggio taught us that breaking doesn't end you, stepping up again does. Panenka taught us that calm is a skill you build, not a gift you're born with. Southgate taught us that your worst pressure moment might be the seed of your greatest contribution. So the next time you feel that tightening in your chest, that quickening of your heartbeat, remember, that's not a warning, that's a signal. You're in the game. And being in the game means you still have a chance. What's the pressure you're facing right now? Tell me in the comments. Subscribe to Pitch and Purpose. New video every week. See you on the pitch.